Hey, Chris Liepe here with the isolated vocals for Smells Like Teen Spirit. I wasn't going to do this one. I was going to leave Kurt Cobain alone for a while, and as I've done Heart-Shaped Box, and I did another sort of variety feature on him a little while ago, but a lot of you asked for this, and so I'm going to do it. And I do like this song. The vocal performance is incredible. There's a lot to analyze. It's really fun to hear them in an isolated fashion. So we're going to get into a lot of vocal performance things, a little production, as we always do with these isolated tracks. And these things are really inspirational. And some of these recordings that you know weren't done primarily in the digital domain, you get this performance cohesion that you don't get with some newer vocalists when you listen to the isolated vocals. And I realized that they were comping and editing also here. But it's a bit more organic and fun to dig into. If you'd like more help with your own voice, you'd like a vocal coach like me to come alongside you and help you experiment with your voice and unlock some things that you didn't know were there, the best place to start with me is by clicking the link below and joining my free course. After that, there are lots of ways we can work together. Let's get into this.
Load up on guns, bring your friends, it's fun to lose and to pretend she's overboard and self-assured. I know, a dirty word.
All right. Now, we have to point out the lazy pitch. This is not only lazy phrasing and lazy tone, but it's lazy pitch. This is really key, I think, for a lot of vocalists and aspiring vocalists to take note of. And Kurt Cobain does this really well. Corey Taylor does this very well. Lots of vocalists do this well. And this is not...
Load up on guns, bring your friends, fun.
This is not, bring your friends, bring your friends. No. We have to have this sort of going the other direction. Load up on guns, bring your friends. We have to kind of go there first before we even worry about the pitches and sort of just get in this like, okay. Load up on guns, bring your friends. There is ambivalence that's happening. And then we have to add compression to that a little bit. Load up on guns, because we can have this sort of posture and have compression, but also be, load up on guns, bring your friends. And then when we have that sort of conversational sort of sound, then we can start approaching the pitches, and it's going to make sense from a presentation point of view. Load up on guns, bring your friends. I don't sound like him, but the attitude is there. If we go into this kind of singing or this song or whatever with load up on guns, bring your friends, or even just trying to be quiet. Load up on guns, bring your... We don't capture what's really going on here. This is pent up ambivalence and load up on guns, bring your friends. And there's a sense that pitch is very, very secondary. The other thing I wanted to point out before we listen on more is this section.
Self-assured, I know.
That's how he leans into that. Self-assured, oh, sure, oh, no. Self-assured, oh. There's this sense, self-assured, oh, I know. That you're building up to a climax that doesn't come. Self-assured, oh. And he sighs into that. It's not a super like, sure, it's not that. It's like this, sure, and there's definitely a pitch. He gets there and it works, but it's, oh, and feel the pain in the midst of the singing. Really, really cool. Practice sighing into things.
Self-assured, I know, a dirty word. Hello, 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 hello.
Okay, so the first thing I want to point out is how prominently the placement in the production is different in these isolated vocals. Dead center. You can hear a slight overlap there. Hello, hello. Hello. And then we've panned everything out. This just sounds doubled. It doesn't sound more than that. It sounds doubled, and they've also increased the high mid-range in the EQ to place it and have it bite you from the sides. But also listen to how he does this more as the song progresses, listen to how he, in both doubles, gets a little bit more angsty as it goes on. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, so you hear the EQ opening up in that higher mid section as you hear him getting more gritty and more engaged with his vocals. So it's a production thing, and it's a vocal performance thing, and they go hand in hand. Hello, hello, hello.
With the lights out, it's just dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us after stupid. Contagious!
We're doubled here too. I think it's just doubled again. A lot of guys nowadays will do multiple, you'll have this sort of choir of lead singers, but this is simple, doubled, panned center, and then that long tail reverb, which is really nice.
Yes, here we are now, entertain us after stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. I'm Lotto, I'm Albino.
You can hear maybe this is a comp.
Yes, I'm Lotto.
Maybe it was just a weird breath, but it's neat to sort of hear some of that stuff. Now, when we're talking about his tone, and he's still got that lazy sound that only Kurt can pull off. It's wonderful sounding. It's almost soothing because it's so laid back and yet so tortured aggressive.
Entertain us after
entertain us. No, my voice wants to go to this sort of entertain us, yeah. But he's much more broken up. There, it's more like a raspy distortion. Entertain us. More like that, or maybe somewhere in between. But how I get there, where it's not this like clean sort of aggressive in-your-face grit, but more of is I tend to go at it from a rasp perspective first. Entertain us, entertain, lots of breath, close around the breath. Entertain, and then that was a side effect of being really exaggeratory, if that's a word. Then as I close around it and create this sort of sigh mentality, entertain us, entertain us, entertain us. It sounds like you're torturing yourself, but he sounds kind of tortured. This is my approach, my gateway to getting to this type of distortion rather than this type of distortion. Entertain us, yeah! Which is a more controlled, calculated, cool Cornelian sound. You got the Cornelian camp, then you got the tortured Kurt Cobain camp. And playing with the different balances, for me, helps me work in those different textures. He's got that ambivalent, tortured, ah, ah, ah sound rather than hey, hey, down really, really well. And he stumbled upon it. But we don't have to stumble. We can experiment, figure out where the balances are in our own voice to get closer to this sort of vibe.
Oh, my libido, yeah. Hey.
Huh. I didn't realize those weren't doubled.
Hey.
That's cool.
Yay.
Yay. Oh, that's cool. Now, listen here.
Libido.
Another thing that really makes this work is the fact that the pitch is so not precise. We've got that warbling thing happening in the doubles.
I'm a mosquito, my libido.
And the different vocal postures too, like a mosquito is brighter, and then we have the guy that's not as bright.
I'm a mosquito, my libido, yeah. Hey.
A mosquito, my libido. A mosquito, my libido. A mosquito, my libido. Notice how the pitch imperfections or problems and the slight vowel variances, in other words, by me being imprecise and floppy with my doubling in this case, it creates a length and depth to the performance and to the sound that you wouldn't get if you were being really precise with it. If a mosquito, my libido, now where I dip in pitch there's a neat thing that happens and a tonal thing that happens because we've got that natural chorusing effect. You can't put a plug-in on and get that. And if your vocals are pitch corrected to death, you also don't get that. So leaving those imperfections and really intentionally being ambivalent while you're doubling, it's really, really neat. Listening on.
I'm worse at what I do best, and for this gift I feel blessed. A little group has always been, always will.
Again.
Always been.
It's really hard not to get too precise with it.
Always been.
Because that pitch is not on. When we isolate this, you want to hear that, but it's not. Right here. It's like it's actually like a half step higher than what you want to hear, but it doesn't matter. He's just abandoning into that note.
Has always been.
Always been. My voice does it a little lower. Always been, always will. Always been, always will. Don't overthink it. Let your voice do what it does. If you try to control it too much, you're going to sound like a control freak and not like a rock star. All right.
Always will until the end. Hello, 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 hello.
They've brought out more low end on these initially.
Hello, 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 hello.
You hear the shape of the EQ change again there. That's so neat.
Hello, hello, hello. With the lights out, it's just dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. I'm a lotto, I'm a bino.
I love how his grit compounds on itself. It feels deeper because of the inconsistencies. And if you listen to him live, you don't get this because you don't have the double to sort of fill in the grit gaps. But his voice is one of the best sounding doubled voices I've ever heard. Wonderfully deep.
I'm a skater, my libido, yay!
Just right there. This
Libido!
how he I can't possibly replicate it, but it's libido, and how he cleans up inconsistently at the end
Libido!
as he goes Beto! Doesn't even sigh. I'm doing it wrong. Oh! Oh! But the way he does it inconsistently there, and it cleans up from this Beto! It sounds different and awkward for me to even try to replicate it at all, but listen again.
Libido!
How he cleans up, and then the breath comes, and it's just it's an irreplicable, wonderful sound caused by doubling, clean, distortion. So cool.
Hey!
Hey! Hey!
Yay!
Yay! There you get a really neat picture of his initial compression.
Yay!
Yay! Yay! Hey! Not hey! Not hey! Yay! Yay! He's just on the edge of that grit.
And I forget just what it is, so yeah, I guess it makes me smile. I found it hard, was hard to find.
Great classic line.
I found it hard.
He actually cracks into that. He does that a lot. I found it hard. Again, exaggerating. But we have to take note of these things. These are part of his approach. And if we experiment with them in our own voices, we're going to unlock some neat things.
I found it hard.
I found it hard. No. I found it hard. I found it hard.
I found it hard.
You can hear that pitch, whatever it is. Found it hard.
Was hard to find. Well, whatever, never mind.
Love this part too. Never mind.
Well, whatever,
Whatever. Kind of moves it around his mouth like he's just being sassy, right? Whatever, never mind, whatever, cool, whatever. He's doing that inside this character. Whatever, never mind, whatever, never mind. There's this little whiny thing that happens there. It adds a lot of character. Whatever, never mind. I've said this before in other videos. Great tone is dynamic tone. We must remember that. It changes, it ebbs and flows with the emotion of the song and the vocal delivery.
Well, whatever, never mind. Hello, 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 hello.
I never get tired of that ramp up in the EQ and tonal changes as he changes his performance.
Hello, hello, hello. Let the lights out.
Very pronounced in this last one.
It's just dangerous. Here we are now. Entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now. Entertain us. I'm a lighter.
Another possible punch there.
I'm a lighter.
Comp.
I'm a lighter. I'm a skater. My libido.
That's how we got this Beto! How long those O's are. Beto! 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 Not just Beto! Beto! Beto!
I'm a skater. My libido. I deny you.
I love how his voice it's like he's giving it all to this actual recording right here, and his voice falls apart. He didn't take the best care of his voice, but man, it sure captured well. And then and again, what makes that end for me is the imprecision of the doubles. And right here, where the other one cuts off way before the other one and just kind of falls apart as his voice is suggesting it as well. You hear that slide down, and you can't hear this in near the detail. You can hear it a little bit, but in the full production. Thanks so much for watching and digging into this classic song. Love Kurt's voice, love particularly his studio performances, and it was super fun to dig into this on a deeper level. Again, if you'd like more help with your own voice, click that link below, join my free course. We'll see you for more.